Welcome back to Echo Report, bringing you the latest news from around the world. In a landmark decision, the Supreme Court has drawn a clear line on presidential power, striking down tariffs imposed on goods from India and Brazil. The ruling reaffirms that only Congress can levy taxes and regulate commerce, closing a loophole that allowed presidents to bypass the legislative process. The court rejected the argument that a trade deficit is a national emergency, restoring stability and predictability for American businesses. This decision is a powerful defense of checks and balances, ensuring economic policy is shaped by public debate and legislative scrutiny. By clarifying the boundaries of executive authority, the court has protected the economic liberties of Americans and reinforced the constitutional order. The U.S. Constitution is clear: only Congress, not the President, holds the exclusive authority to impose taxes and tariffs. This foundational principle was designed by the framers to ensure that decisions affecting the nation's economy are made by representatives elected by the people, not by a single individual. By placing this power in Congress's hands, the Constitution creates a system of checks and balances that prevents any one branch from wielding too much influence over the country's financial future. Tariffs, which are essentially taxes on imported goods, have a direct impact on prices, businesses, and consumers across the country. The Supreme Court's recent decision reaffirms that such sweeping financial measures must be debated and approved by Congress, not enacted unilaterally by the executive branch. This process ensures that the voices of all Americans, through their elected officials, are heard before major economic changes take effect. This system of legislative oversight guarantees accountability. Lawmakers are required to represent the interests of their constituents, engage in public debate, and reach compromises that reflect the diverse needs of the nation. Every tariff or tax must be justified, discussed, and ultimately voted on in a transparent manner. If a president could set tariffs alone, it would bypass this essential process, silencing millions of Americans and undermining the very foundation of representative government. The risk is not just theoretical. History shows that unchecked executive power can lead to decisions that favor political interests over the public good. While Congress has, at times, delegated certain trade powers to the executive branch, these delegations are always limited in scope and subject to strict guidelines. They are not a blank check for the president to rewrite economic policy at will, but rather tools for managing specific situations under congressional oversight. The Supreme Court has now clarified that even emergency powers cannot be used as a loophole to create entirely new economic policies. The president cannot bypass Congress to impose broad tariffs or taxes even in times of crisis. This landmark ruling restores the original constitutional design, keeping the power to tax and shape the nation's economy firmly in the hands of the people's representatives. It reinforces the idea that major economic decisions must be made openly and democratically. Ultimately, this protects Americans from rash, politically motivated decisions and ensures that any significant shift in economic policy results from open debate, careful consideration, and the collective will of the people as expressed through their elected lawmakers. The Supreme Court's decision firmly rejected the idea that a trade deficit is a national emergency. The IEEPA was meant for genuine crises, terrorism, war, not routine economic issues. Allowing presidents to declare emergencies for policy challenges would let them sidestep Congress on almost any issue. The court drew a clear line. Emergency powers are for true emergencies, not everyday governance. This preserves the distinction between urgent crises and complex policy debates, protecting congressional authority. The ruling checks the rise of the imperial presidency and reaffirms that frustration with Congress does not justify executive overreach. The solution to gridlock is compromise, not unilateral action. Tariffs may sound like a distant policy debate, but their impact is anything but abstract. For American businesses and families, the effects are real, immediate, and often deeply personal. When tariffs are imposed, the consequences ripple through every corner of the economy, touching lives in ways that are sometimes invisible at first, but quickly become impossible to ignore. For manufacturers, a 50% tariff on imports from India and Brazil didn't just mean higher costs on paper, it meant real dollars lost, budgets stretched thin, and tough decisions about who could stay on the payroll. Many factories were forced to slow production, lay off workers, or even shut down entirely, stalling growth and putting entire communities at risk. Meanwhile, American farmers faced a different kind of hardship. Retaliatory tariffs from other countries made it nearly impossible to sell their crops abroad. Fields of unsold produce and idle tractors became a common sight, as farmers watched their livelihoods slip away and international markets closed their doors. For everyday consumers, the pain was felt at the checkout counter. Tariffs drove up prices on everything from clothing and shoes to electronics and groceries. For working families already struggling to make ends meet, these higher costs acted as a hidden tax, forcing difficult choices about what to buy and what to do without. The uncertainty created by unpredictable tariffs made it nearly impossible for businesses to plan for the future. Investments were put on hold, hiring slowed, and expansion plans were shelved. Small business owners in particular found themselves caught in a cycle of worry and hesitation, unsure of what the next month, or even the next week, might bring. This climate of instability didn't just affect individual companies, it chilled economic growth across entire towns and cities. Projects were delayed or canceled, storefronts closed, and opportunities for new jobs and innovation dried up, leaving communities struggling to recover. The true cost of tariffs was measured not just in dollars and cents, but in lost jobs, delayed dreams, and diminished potential for families and businesses alike. Every empty desk, every halted project, and every warehouse full of unsold goods told a story of opportunity lost. The court's decision to end this cycle brings hope for a return to stability. With predictability restored, businesses can once again plan, invest, and grow, while families look forward to more affordable prices and new opportunities. Ultimately, this is a powerful reminder that trade wars often end up hurting the very people they're meant to protect: American workers, families, and communities who deserve a fair shot at prosperity. The Supreme Court's ruling unleashed a wave of relief across the business world, as news of the decision spread rapidly through boardrooms, factories, and small offices alike. For months, uncertainty had cast a shadow over the economy, with many companies holding back on investments and hiring. Now, with the court's clear verdict, a sense of hope and stability returned almost overnight. Over $100 billion in unlawful tariffs will be refunded, providing a vital boost to companies large and small. For many, these refunds mean the difference between survival and closure. Businesses that had been struggling to stay afloat now have the resources to pay overdue bills, replenish inventory, and even expand their operations. This capital injection allows businesses to rehire workers, invest in growth, and restart stalled projects. Across the country, factories are humming back to life, construction sites are busy once again, and offices are welcoming back employees who had been laid off or furloughed. The decision also restores certainty, freeing companies from the fear of sudden disruptive policy changes. With a more predictable environment, entrepreneurs can take calculated risks, and established firms can move forward with confidence. With trade policy back in Congress's hands, businesses can plan for the long term and sign multi-year contracts. This stability encourages new partnerships, long-term investments, and the kind of strategic planning that drives innovation and growth. The psychological impact is profound. Optimism replaces anxiety, and leaders can focus on innovation instead of crisis management. Teams are energized, brainstorming new ideas and looking ahead to a future filled with opportunity rather than uncertainty. The ruling signals a return to a rules-based system, where decisions are made transparently, not by executive whim. This renewed trust in the process reassures both domestic and international partners, strengthening America's reputation as a reliable place to do business. The relief is both financial and foundational, creating a stable environment for American enterprise to thrive. With renewed confidence, businesses of all sizes are poised to contribute to a stronger, more resilient economy. The benefits of the court's decision reach every American household. With tariffs gone, prices on clothing, electronics, and appliances will fall, giving families more purchasing power. Businesses, freed from uncertainty, can hire again and invest in growth. The ripple effect is clear: more jobs, stronger consumer spending, and a healthier economy. Industries like automotive manufacturing, which rely on global supply chains, can lower costs and offer better prices. This stability means better products, more competitive prices, and greater job security. Grounding trade policy in Congress ensures the economy works for everyone, from CEOs to families planning their budgets. The decision creates a virtuous cycle of growth, opportunity, and confidence. This Supreme Court ruling is a victory for American democracy, reinforcing checks and balances. By blocking unilateral executive action on tariffs, the court reasserts Congress's legislative authority. The decision compels lawmakers to engage in open debate and public scrutiny, making policy more transparent and accountable. When Congress leads, the process is open to public input and media coverage, ensuring decisions reflect the will of the people. The ruling strengthens the rule of law, ensuring even the president is bound by constitutional limits. It prevents the abuse of emergency powers and restores the proper roles of each branch. This clarity provides the stability and predictability essential for prosperity and freedom. The government works best when power is shared, debated, and checked, not concentrated in one office. Checks and balances aren't just theory. They protect every American's freedom and prosperity. The court's decision prevents arbitrary, harmful economic policies by requiring broad consensus for major changes. This process moderates extremes and ensures policies are balanced and durable. Stability from legislative debate allows families and businesses to plan for the future with confidence. The constitutional framework keeps the rules consistent, encouraging investment and innovation. The ruling affirms that the U.S. is a government of laws, not of men. No leader is above the Constitution. Power is shared, decisions are debated, and leaders are accountable to the people. This is the essential mechanism that preserves American democracy and keeps government a servant, not a master.